So here we go. Basically, as Anders mentioned, today we want to talk about the GDPR compliant messaging and probably the WhatsApp issue that many companies have and that company have to struggle with. Maybe to start with, Teamwire is a German-based company. So we have our headquarters in Munich. We were established or started in 2010. Yeah, 2010. So we are 10 years in the market already. I am with Teamwire already since 7 years. I'm the sales director, so heading the sales team. I'm an engineer, so I studied communication engineering. So I've done many different jobs. So I'm coming more from the technology side, but at some point I decided to go into the sales because I like to work with people. And probably because as an Italian, I like to talk a lot. Maybe to start with, who is using Teamwire already? This gives you maybe an idea where we are coming from or how our solution is structured. So in Germany, we have, I would guess, more than 50% of the police officers are using Teamwire already. And the classical way, the police officers, they had just their private phones. So they didn't have the opportunity to send digital content like pictures, videos, and what were they using? Obviously WhatsApp. And as an alternative, in order to, make or exchange digital content, the police has introduced Teamwire as the WhatsApp alternative. And the same applies for Federal Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs, really big organization. And we have also insurance companies like Continentale Insurance Group. We have Vodafone as telecommunication provider, in Europe, but very focused or very strong in Germany. Actually, Vodafone is also a reseller or a sales partner of ours who is selling Teamwire to their customers. But we have also hospitals like Klinikum Chemnitz, TÜV Rheinland, you probably know, for certification purposes. Dataport is an IT house who is responsible also for public customers. So a number of companies with, I would say, the same issue. Employees were using WhatsApp. They didn't have an alternative, and hence they introduced something which is easy to use from an employee perspective, but fulfills all the data security requirements that companies or public companies have. And this is basically what they have received with Teamwire. Before I start with the presentation and I give you an overview of what Teamwire is all about, I still would like to take the point that Anders made in the slide where he showed the fines that have been put in place because of GDPR. Because the issue is mainly that, the main communication method in your private life, and you can see it also probably how you communicate with your family and friend, is a messenger. In Europe or in Western part, it's very, WhatsApp is very strong. In Germany, I would guess WhatsApp is used by 80% of the population. So it's very easy to send content from A to B via WhatsApp. And it's very easy to have a group chat within WhatsApp if you compare it to the old email tradition. And the point is the way how the people communicate in private is similar to how they communicate in business. And if you don't have an alternative for your employees, they probably will use what they know, and this is WhatsApp. So in terms of the shadow IT, WhatsApp is a huge issue. So the message I want to bring over to you is the decision whether or not you deploy a messenger is not done by yourself, it's done by your employees. Because if you don't introduce a GDPR compliant messenger, your employees will use what they have. And this is most likely WhatsApp, maybe in the last months and years, also Telegram and Signal. But the point is you have to react because the reason why they're using a messenger is quite obvious. It's faster and it's direct, it's easier to communicate in groups, etc., etc. So this to start with, because it's to me a very important point. So what is Teamwire all about? I mean, if you know WhatsApp already, you probably know the look and feel and the feature set of Teamwire already, because Teamwire is the WhatsApp alternative in business for WhatsApp. We are not in the private space, so Teamwire is just for enterprise customers. And it has a similar user experience than WhatsApp. And this is by purpose, because the way how people work is, I mean, they know a solution, they get used to it, and then they don't want to have something that differs too much from the solution they know of. So our target was to have something with a similar user experience as WhatsApp. So everything that you know out of WhatsApp, sharing content, do video call, things like that, you can do more or less also with Teamwire. So from an employee perspective, it's very important that they are familiar with the solution you want to introduce. But the rest of the story is really important for you as a company. And these are, for example, the strong data protection and security requirements that you have to fulfill as a company, especially in the public sector. So the way or the ability to decide where the data is stored. And that brings me to the fourth point, or the fifth point over here, that we provide, for example, a solution where you can decide whether you use Teamwire as a public cloud, so the data center is in Germany, it's a German provider, whether you want to have it in a private cloud, maybe hosted by Head Technology or one of their resellers, or if you want to have Teamwire on-premise. So there are three solutions that you can choose of. And the very important point is you decide where the data is stored, because you are the owner of the data. The other interesting part or important requirement that you have to look into if you are investigating or foresee to deploy a messenger is the administration capabilities of the solution. So I get regularly the question when we are on fairs from customers, yeah, I don't use WhatsApp anymore, but I'm using Signal as a company. It's better encrypted, so this is okay to use. Of course, Signal, for example, is better encrypted, but still all the administration capabilities that you have to have as a company are missing. For example, that you can set policies to which content your employees are allowed to use or not. For example, they can send pictures, but no videos. That they can do copy and paste, but they can't forward messages, things like that. But also, for example, to remote wipe the data. Imagine if you have, we have a number of hospitals, and usually hospitals, they have low IT budget. And in hospitals, I would guess that 80% of the employees are using their private phone. So if you install now Teamwire or Messenger on their private phone, they lose their phone. You have to have the ability to delete the data in case the phone was stolen, the phone was lost or whatsoever, because the data within Teamwire or the Messenger is critical. It's health data and it's protected by law. So you have to have also the ability, for example, to do a remote wipe of a private app on your private phone. And these are the enterprise-grade administration function that you have to look in as a company. From an employee perspective, they don't care about, because they want to just use a messenger similar to WhatsApp, but this is something that you have to put some sort of attention to. The other ability is to have a multi-device solution, so that you can use Teamwire on your mobile phone, on your desktop, but also maybe on a tablet. Teamwire basically is a multi-device solution. So regardless of which device you start with, for example, your iPhone, at a later point in time, you add an Android phone, you add a desktop client, you add a web client, and all your data is there. A message that will be read on one device automatically will be read also on the second, third, and fourth device. And more important, you don't have to have a mobile phone. There are some solutions out in the market where you have also desktop clients similar to WhatsApp, where you can mirror your screen on a desktop, but this requires a mobile phone. In Teamwire, the desktop client or the web client is very standalone. You don't need to have a mobile phone or mobile number. It's independent from any mobile phone. And the last point, Head Technology is also selling very successful EMM, MDM, you call it, solutions. So the ability, in case that the customer has an MDM in place, to deliver the app also with your MDM solution. That has many advantages. For example, that you can run Teamwire only in your company container. So you have the company container and you have a private container, and Teamwire obviously as a company solution runs in the company container and can communicate only with company apps, and is really distinguished from your private apps like Facebook, like WhatsApp, Instagram, and co. And secondly, that you can also then establish, for example, an additional VPN connection to your backend, whether it's on premise, on cloud, but it has many advantages by using an EMM solution on top of it in terms of security. To summarize, to give you an idea, again, Teamwire, it feels and looks like WhatsApp. It has more or less the same functionality, but from the company perspective, it fulfills many, many business requirements, such as administration, data storage, EMM support that enterprise companies have. In addition to that, there are some additional business features, I would call them, that are important that I will present you throughout the next slides. One big topic is group chats. I mean, we are in place since 10 years, and we have collected over the last 10 years many, many requirements. And one requirement was the ability to have group chats in a different way than consumer apps are using group chats. If you look at your messaging behavior in WhatsApp, for example, at least if I compare WhatsApp to Teamwire, in WhatsApp, my main communication is one-to-one. There are some group chats for fun things, organizing things, but very less. Whereas in Teamwire, the group chats are much, much more, because it's a business app and I have to talk to my employees, I have to talk to my peers, I have to talk in projects. So there are many, many different group chats. And as a matter of that, I have to have the ability to have also different requirements for the group chats. And in Teamwire, for example, we have distribution lists, similar to what you probably know from email. So you have a distribution list, maybe of 1,000 users. You pick this list, you create a group chat, and within 2 seconds, you have created a group chats with 1,000+ users. Teamwire supports group chats where the message is encrypted really in every direction, up to 2,500 users in one group chat. And this is really amazing, because this is needed in order to, have the ability to communicate in large groups. If I take the police, for example, they have, I mean, like Police Cologne or Düsseldorf, they have on a daily basis many group chats with 2,000+ members for big operations. Or projects that they have. So this is really, really important to have the ability to create on a fast way big group chats. And on the other way, it's important to fully manage those group chats. For example, I, as a sales director, I don't want my employees to leave a group chat that I have established where I put some sales targets. So they have to, I want to decide who enters the group, and I also want to decide who leaves the group. So the ability to fully manage a chat is a completely additional requirement that group chat functionality has or has to have compared to consumer apps. I think this is nothing new, at least for many of you who are using messaging solution, but the ability to have also VoIP and video calling. The interesting part, I mean, it took us some time to implement, and to be completely honest and frank with you, we didn't want to do it because we had many customers who didn't want to have it due to, data usage or from a data usage perspective. Because if you use audio and video from your Teamwire app, it consumes your data, whereas at least in Germany or in Europe, your audio call capabilities, or from a contract perspective, you can call as much as you want. There's no limit. But if you spend your data, your 10 gig or so, then either you have to pay for more data or you will be stripped down to a certain speed limit. So this is why many customers didn't want to have video calling. But since the pandemic situation, everyone was in the home office. Many of our customers also wanted to have video and VoIP, and this is why we have also introduced video and audio functionality within Teamwire. And obviously on a desktop client, you can do also screen sharing. So you can use Teamwire also to hold small conferences to present stuff. What we have also introduced is push to talk. So this is also coming from police, fire brigades, things like that. So from the digital radio, that you have to have the ability to, press a button, the audio record will be recorded or sent to one person or to a group of persons in order to, have quick conversation, not to type text, but to have an interface where you can quickly, communicate with a audio message. I will play a video for that one. I hope you can hear it. If you don't hear it, maybe Andres or Alexander, let me know. I have to adjust my computer, but usually it plays.
With Teamwire, we've embarked on a technological milestone. We are introducing the push-to-talk standard in our business messenger. This new feature simplifies the process of sending and receiving audio messages. Click on the microphone button in the upper left corner of the Teamwire inbox. Select either existing one-to-one and group chats or create new groups for which push-to-talk is supposed to be activated. After selecting the chat, a large blue button appears, which is used for voice communication.
We have found the missing person. The report can be closed accordingly.
You can easily switch between the push-to-talk channels by swiping left and right. As with all other chat features, it's possible for the IT administrator to set individual communication rules for push-to-talk chats. Download Teamwire today. Secure, simple, high-performing. Enjoy.
This is our push-to-talk functionality, and again, it's heavily used for polices, the Red Cross organization, fire brigade, things like that. Another business requirement that we have collected is the ability to send different type of messages, and we have actually 3 types of messages. One is the alerting message or alerting feature, and combined with the alerting feature, we have also a panic button. How is the alerting feature used? Basically, if you had critical events, like somebody is in an emergent case or an IT system is down and you have to react, you can send, as a person or also as a third-party system, a Teamwire message as alerting message. What will happen? The recipient will get a message where, from a visual perspective, it looks completely different. As you can see here on the screen, everything is in red. You have the batch count that 1 unread alert is in your inbox. The batch count is in red, whereas usually it's in green. And regardless of new messages that will come in, the alert message will stay always on top of your inbox, because it has to show you, or it shows you that this is something where you have to react fast. And once you open you see it on the next screen. Yeah, you see it on the next screen. Once you open the alert message like this one, this is in a healthcare case. Dr. Sebastian, Winning, please come to immediately room, blah, blah, blah. It helps. You can confirm this. You can push the OK button, or in this case, SOS button, if you need some help, in order to confirm that you have seen, that you have read the message. Not only the read receipt, you have to push a button in order to confirm it. And together with the alert message, there's also this panic button that you can use as a person if you are in an emergent situation. For example, a police officer is in an emergent situation. He can push this red button, and what will happen? An audio record of 30 seconds will be recorded, and this audio record plus your geo position will be sent to a group chat which has been defined or created especially for you as a user. So the group will then get an alert message. Gianfranco Pizzata in his emergent situation, they can listen to the audio record I have recorded, and they see exactly the place where I am in order to, help me with some assistance. This is the alert message and the panic button. And as a matter of that, we have also introduced the announcement and note message type, which can be used. Announcement, for example, a new colleague has joined the team. There are new Corona situational requirements for your employees, things like that. Or notes, if you have had a meeting and you want to put everything down, you write it down, send it as a note. And the interesting thing is that you can filter to those messages. So you can filter to announcement and you see all announcement. Or you can filter notes and you see all notes in order to quickly find important stuff that you have sent in Messenger. And obviously what you can also do, you can react by some emojis, as you are probably familiar with in social networks. And also here I have a small video, which gives me the opportunity to drink a little bit of my coffee.
With Teamwire, we have set the goal of closing gaps in business communication. In chat histories, you can lose track of important messages very quickly. Our visually highlighted messages make life easier. Attention messages are categorized in alerts, announcements, and notes. Open a chat of your choice. Either click on the plus icon or enlarge the message window. Choose a type of attention message. Type your text and send your message. Each recipient receives a push notification. In case of an alert, even with a special alert sound. They can respond with reactions to the highlighted messages. A report shows which recipients have received the message, viewed it, and how they reacted to it. Attention messages help increase the efficiency of all employees and promote team collaboration across the entire workforce. Download Teamwire today. Secure, simple, high-performing. Enjoy.
I didn't want to jump there. Over here, yeah. By the way, there are some constructions in our office ongoing. I hope it's not too loud and you are not distracted from the noise. Right now it's okay, but it might be that there's some noise. Yeah, these are the attention messages. And again, you can use the attention messages to send them as a person in a one-to-one, in a one-to-many or group chat, but also to use our SDK and bot capabilities for sending attention messages from third-party systems. For example, if you have a fire alarm system, you can use also Teamwire to send the fire alarm as an alert message to your employees. So you can connect Teamwire also to third-party systems and using them. Another important factor is what we have introduced, I think 1 year ago, 2 years ago, the live location. You probably know it from WhatsApp, that you can share not only your position, but also your live location. This is very important for mobile forces who are on the go, or where somebody in the operations need to know where are my employees or where are my buddies. And you simply open the Teamwire app, you go to the content type, and then you share your live location. You can choose whether you want to do it for 15 minutes, an hour, or 8 hours. Very important. It's something that you as a user have to activate. I, as a department leader, I cannot go to Teamwire, open the live location and check where my employees are. This is something that each employee has to do by himself individually. And this again helps for mobile forces in order to coordinate them, to see where can I plan with the next resources because somebody is in a traffic jam or because an operation took longer. I have to split my employees, things like that. I think this is quite obvious, but also heavily used, at least according to our employees. You can also use polls in Teamwire, maybe for, aligning for the next meeting, aligning for the next event, for dinner you want to go or lunch that you want to have. You simply open a chat, or you will go into the chat. As a content type, you will find the polls. You give them a title, and then you can have different options and one-to-many options. And the employees can answer to it, and you can quickly arrange a meeting date, event date, whatsoever. One thing that is really important from a messenger perspective, and this is something where we have struggled a number of years, is the communication with externals. Because as soon as I talk to companies, they will ask me, yeah, but what am I going to do with customers or with people who are not within Teamwire? And to be honest, when we started, we were a closed group. So Teamwire was closed, and Teamwire was used to communicate internal only. Now we have opened Teamwire in order to give people outside of Teamwire also the ability to create with people within Teamwire. And there are different ways. The easiest way is if you're in the Teamwire public cloud, your partner company is also in Teamwire. Per policy, you can decide whether or not you want to communicate with them. The second thing is that you can have guest accounts. So if you are an IT house and you have external forces that you want to work with, and if it's a regular kind of communication, you can give them a guest account, which is under your administration. So everything that you can do with a normal account, like deleting data, archiving data, storing data, you can do also with a guest account. So your guest will get an ID, password, signs into Teamwire, and you can start a conversation. This way of communicating makes only sense if you have a permanent communication with this external guest, because otherwise he's not going to download the app. For a kind of sporadic communication, you can use, for example, a chat widget. You can see it on our website. If you want, I can show it in a second to you while I'm doing the demo. A chat widget, as you know, probably from IKEA, you go to the website, there's a chat box, you open it, you type in your name and start to ask questions or something like that. This is something that we offer as part of the professional license. So you get a Docker image, you can install it on any kind of web pages. Again, this is very much used, or is the communication method if you have a sporadic, if you want to establish a sporadic communication with employees, with patients, whatsoever. And the same kind of integration actually can be done with WhatsApp. You probably have heard about WhatsApp for Business, and WhatsApp for Business is not a standalone messenger. WhatsApp for Business is a way for companies to define a number where employees can use their private WhatsApp to send messages to. For example, we have many customers, actually public customers like cities, they publish a WhatsApp for Business number on their webpage. I'm living in Düsseldorf, the city of Düsseldorf, they provide on their website a WhatsApp number and they write, please send us a WhatsApp message. You take this number, you go into your WhatsApp account, you send to this number, business number, a WhatsApp message, and actually the city of Düsseldorf will receive that message in Teamwire. And they can respond in Teamwire, and the employee or the citizen will receive the message in WhatsApp. So you have one-to-one or one-to-many communication from WhatsApp to Teamwire. And this is actually GDPR compliant. Why? Because WhatsApp for Business is, you have to pay for it in terms of Facebook or Meta. So there are different T's and C's in order to use this. And as a matter of that, the way how Meta treats the data is completely different than WhatsApp, the classical consumer app, because the way how they make money with WhatsApp is selling data, selling advertisements, stuff like that. And the second part why this is GDPR compliant, because the communication from WhatsApp to Teamwire is based on IDs. So there's no personalized data being used to establish the communication. It's simply IDs that are being exchanged. And this is the reason why many customers or companies are using this WhatsApp for Business integration to open a door for employees, for citizens to communicate with WhatsApp into Teamwire. And this is a really great opportunity in order to, have the ability to, open Teamwire also to the external world. And the last but not least thing is a federation function that we have established. So imagine you as an authority are using Teamwire on-premise. As a second one you want to communicate with, as a federation, you federate your servers and you can send messages from one backend to the other one. Or even if you are on-premise, there is a customer or a partner of yours in the Teamwire cloud, you can federate the tenant from the cloud with your backend, and you can have a conversation which is not related only to your own backend, so to say. So again, summarized, communication with external is the key, because the big problem, and this is not only our problem, is the problem for any kind of messaging provider, is the non-standardized technology or protocol. Messenger is not standardized like email, so everyone is using his own protocol, and that makes it impossible, really impossible, to have some sort of interoperability between the messenger. As mentioned on the beginning, I'm an engineer, and I started my first job actually within Vodafone in the standardization. So I have specified GSM standards. And in order to do standards which really work, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time and arrangement discussion with different suppliers. IT doesn't take this time. So there is no way that messaging or some sort of IT system in future will be standardized. And hence you have to find some ways on how you can standardize your solution throughout different means. And this is how we have done it, from closed communication provider. We have open Teamwire, where you can have some sort of integration in third-party communication systems. The other important thing that you have to pay attention to, if messaging is something important, I don't want to spend too much time on that, even though I think this is the most important part from my side because it's very technical. You have to have an API. You have to have the ability to connect your messenger to third parties, because most of the companies, they start because they have a WhatsApp issue, but they realize it would make sense to connect also my CRM, my KISS system, your hospital information system, your ERP system to Teamwire in order to get automated messages from your system in Teamwire. And therefore, you have to have the ability to connect to third-party systems. And how we offer it to customers via our SDK. You get an SDK, and with this SDK, you can develop your own bot. And basically, there's almost no case you can't do with it, because if you use this SDK, you can use any functionality in Teamwire which is provided. So any API within Teamwire is disclosed in this SDK, and you can connect to many systems. I give you two or three examples in order to get some idea. We have some, I don't know how they're called in English, the guys in the cities who give you a ticket if you're parking your car on the wrong place. It's not the police, it's the city police, so to say. In order, if your car is blocking really the street, they have to take your car away. In Germany, at least, they first have to call you in order to verify that you're not at home, to take your car out of the place where you have left your car. And how they have done it in the past, they had to take the car plate number, they had to call to the operations, give them the number, had to check the system in order to verify if this car holder is in the city or not. This process took like 10 minutes. How we have done it in Teamwire, they have a bot. Within this bot, they send the car plate number. The bot connects to their system, checks if the car is registered in the city, and sends back the holder details. So within seconds, they have the holder details, including the phone number. They call them. If they are at home, they ask him to take away the car. If not, they can take away the car with the truck, basically. And so there are some sort of integrations that you can do in terms of productivity. But for me, more important is to motivate your employees to even use Teamwire. Because if they see that they can do something fast, they will use Teamwire. I mean, if a process takes 10 minutes, whereas with Teamwire, it takes a couple of seconds, there's no way why you should convince the employee to use Teamwire. They will do it by themselves because they see the productivity benefit. And that's why I believe personally that the integration and the ability to have some key third-party systems integrated in Messenger is the key to have a successful implemented Messenger where at the end of the day, your employees are not using WhatsApp anymore. So you have to keep that in mind. Teamwire, as I mentioned at the beginning, is a multi-device platform. So we are on iPhone, Android, tablet, and also phone. We are on Windows, Mac, and Linux PCs with a native desktop client, but also available as a web client. Maybe I start with the desktop client. This is basically my desktop client. I'm using a Windows PC. The icon is missing because this is a beta version, so don't be surprised. And basically, it's very simple. You have the inbox, then you have your directory where I can choose between my contacts. And very important, you as a company decide who my contacts are. If you want that my employees are communicating only with internal employees, you set a policy to that. For me, actually, it's configured that I can communicate with Teamwire employees, but also to third parties like something here like consumer domain, different company. This is a customer of ours, another customer. So I can communicate basically with internal and external. Then you have lists that you can create for yourself. Lists are distribution lists where I have, for example, my sales team. I want to communicate with them to different topics, and I open a list so that I don't need to type in the 10, 15 contacts each time I create a group chat. And the same applies for now here it's in German, Kreise means circle. Circles are basically AD groups from your Active Directory. This can be organization groups like sales, marketing, technology, which are automatically synced with Teamwire. And you can use this distribution list also to create a new group chat. And this is what I mentioned with when I presented the group chat functionality. Those are the groups, for example, where you can have hundreds of thousands of employees because it's an AD group. You take this group, for example, if I create a new chat, I go to the, no, I can't hit the button. You can see one-to-one chat, group chat, or broadcast chat. I hit the group chat option. I go to circles, and then I can select this one, and this one. In this case, there are not that many participants. You can see here only 21 participants out of 2,500. But imagine that in this group, I would have 1,300 users. With one click, I give them a name like test. I go to OK, and within seconds, I have created, or with just a few clicks, I have created a group chat with 1,000+ employees. And similar to the, as you have seen in the demo, I can decide here now if I want to send this message as announcement. I can enlarge the screen if I have to type a really long text like this, because really beyond the normal screen size, I can add as many content as I want, and I can send it. Obviously, I can confirm it with a thumbs up or with a heart, whatever you want. I can reply to it, or I can comment it. I can forward a message. So everything basically that you know of from a consumer solution. And the interesting part comes really from the, I will show you one of the integration. I think I have the, I have to remember how, I think I called it HR bot. Yeah, exactly. Here we go. This is one integration we have done for ourselves, where you can basically check with our HR system. I can type in Urlaubstage, which means vacation days. Oh, Urlaubstage. So I sent the command Urlaubstage, which means vacation days, to the bot. The bot now knows that I want to know how many remaining vacation days I have throughout the year. And it replies to me back, your remaining vacation days for 2022 are 14 days. Please take them until 31st of December, 2022. And as you can see, within seconds, I get my vacation days. I used to work for Deutsche Telekom, and we had, I don't know, 1 million different HR systems and IT systems. And in order to figure out how many vacation days I had, it took me like 10 minutes to find the right system, to log into the system and things like that. And these kind of integration help you in order to, you know, quickly get content that you need. And it can be a command that you send, but it can also be triggered by a third-party system. If something changes, you send a message to the IT admin because Exchange server is down, something like that. Yeah, this is the bot. Maybe I can show you also the chat widget integration. If I go to the teamwire.eu site, I have to accept all. I open here a chat window. I enter a name, Gianfranco. How are you? I send it. And now we will see that I get a notification. This is now the notification. I jump into the inbox. If I go to the top to it, you see that I've received this, this question from Gianfranco on the website, and I can respond to it. I am good. Send it back. If I switch to the website, you can see that the recipient on the website gets feedback. And the same kind of integration as mentioned before can be done also with WhatsApp. In that case, the user is using WhatsApp, his personal WhatsApp account with a dedicated number. If you want, I can show you that one as well. We have a number. So if you wish, I can show you that one as well, but it's the same mechanism. If you have customers who have a sporadic question because they want to know, do you have this and this functionality? How expensive is it? You can introduce this chat widget also, or also the WhatsApp integration. Good. if you jump back to the presentation, again, to summarize, Teamwire is a multi-device app available on many platforms, and really regardless of which app you start with, the communication is always synchronized. So whatever you read on one device will be marked as read also on the other device. And even if you start at a later point in time, or if you lose your device, you don't have to take care about backup. You sign in with your credentials and puff, all your communication is there. This is all done by the backend automatically, which is also important to, you know, save some IT resources. Talking about protection and data security, I think I could spend an hour talking about data protection and security aspects. But just a couple of things. I mean, you have seen what customers are using Teamwire, and you can imagine they didn't use it because they trust me when I gave them a presentation. They really tested Teamwire, and they're doing penetration tests year by year. And with any penetration test, we learn what you know, holes we have to fill with our solution. But the point is that our solution is made in Germany, and we started with a privacy by design and privacy by default concept because we didn't have any consumer in mind. We wanted to have a messaging solution for enterprise customers. So it's built with a completely different approach. And by the way, this is an issue that Threema, for example, has. Threema has started as consumer. Now they have Threema Work. And Threema Work has some advantages in terms of architecture, which makes, I mean, they're really successful and it's a great solution, I have to admit, but they have some limitations. And this is based on the fact that they have started as a consumer app. And one is, for example, the decentral encryption method, because with Threema, if you want to use a desktop client, you have to have a mobile client. So you have to have a mobile number because the screen is similar to WhatsApp, just mirrored. So you have your mobile screen, and then you can scan a QR code and you can use the solution also on a web client or on a desktop client. But if you don't have a mobile phone or a mobile app, you're not able to use the desktop client. And this is for many customers a big advantage because many customers, they don't want to give every employee a mobile phone because it's too expensive. So we have started with a privacy by design concept, and our business model is basically based on sold license. So we don't have interest to sell your data or to store an address book or things like that. So you can be sure that data is protected according to GDPR or the strong German data protection law. In terms of encryption, we encrypt everything. I don't know if you know about BSI, Bundesministerium for Security Information. They put many requirements in terms of IT. So we encrypt in accordance to BSR requirements. So not only the communication is encrypted, also any kind of content, metadata, everything is encrypted. So even Teamwire is a container, the app is a container, and even if you would hack the phone and you would get access to the data, every data within the container of Teamwire on your phone is encrypted. So it's very difficult to hack Teamwire. I mean, nothing is impossible. It's always a question of money. I guess if Biden would use Teamwire, the hurdle or the money to spend to hack Teamwire would be much higher in order to, you know, hack my account, because what kind of confidential data I have. So it's always a question of money, but it's very difficult because the requirements are really high. And this is what we are standing for. So in terms of data protection and data security, there are no compromises within our company. So this is always the first and important factor because it's so important for our customer. What I mentioned at the when I presented Teamwire as the alternative to WhatsApp, you remember the 6 buckets or six blocks, and one was the administration. What we provide to customers, obviously, is a dashboard where you can do all the kind of administration. It's a web-based dashboard, regardless of whether you're using Teamwire in the cloud, private cloud, public cloud, or on-premise. And you can connect to your Active Directory. There's an LDAP synchronization. You can set up Teamwire as a multi-tenancy or multi-domain solution. There's an audit-proof archiving and audit log functionality, which is very important from a GDPR perspective if there is a compliance issue. So everything that you need in terms of, I would say, management, administration, and audit capabilities is given in the Teamwire dashboard. It's very complex in what you can do, but it's very easy to use because it's very modern. You can see this is the first screen, the big screen is when you log into Teamwire. It starts with a dashboard where you can see how many users are active on a daily, monthly basis, how many messages have been sent on a daily and monthly basis. You can set all the requirements, policies on a device perspective, so you can have different policies for your mobile phone compared to your desktop or web client, for example. So all these kind of administration can be done with the dashboard. And this, to be frank, is the heart of a messenger solution. Because at the end, as I mentioned at the beginning, it doesn't help you to have a solution like Signal, which is better encrypted, obviously better encrypted than WhatsApp, but where all the dashboard functionalities are missing. This is the key from a company perspective, and also to make the life in your IT organization easier, because if you can, from an IT perspective, configure the system to what your company policies are, your work is done and you don't need to take care about all the issues. This is basically all I wanted to show to you for today. I hope I didn't talk too fast. Sometimes as an Italian, I tend to talk very fast. I tried to speed down a little bit. I don't know if there are any questions. I'm very happy to answer any kind of question that you have.